Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Otakuology podcast. I am your host, Otaku Mike, and today we are going back to the graves in Gungrave, episodes 3 and 4.
There's multiple graves now? Damn it.
In this episode, there is multiple graves.
You know the sad thing about this?
What?
And this is completely like off topic, but since mine's Jin Graves, you could tell I'd be like, the graves, and be like, yeah, that makes it sound like I have kids.
The graves.
Multiple kids.
That's the family name.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're looking at these next two episodes of Gungrave, which I believe are called Run and Go. I think that's what they're called exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, we end up in the fallout from the previous episode where we see Harry, Brandon, and the other guys. I think Kenny and Nathan are their names. They're kind of not important.
It's Kenny.
It's the other one's Nathan.
Which one's Nathan?
Nathan's the one in like the purple jersey, and then Joris is the one who died in the last episode.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Joris.
Which I just gotta say, so looking at Joris, he had a very like almost Vash the Stampede like face and hair look.
Yeah.
And he had peace written on his like apron. I kind of wonder if that was like a slight jab at like Vash the Stampede.
So I don't know, but the other funny thing is out of that, there's another character we've seen him, but you haven't seen him yet, and we actually just cracked a joke before we came on about it.
Yeah.
So the Bob Pound Max guy, when we first see him, you know, in episode 1, you know, he's this big chunky fat guy.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so in this, when we see him back in the day, he's actually skinny as a twig. Like, to me, him and Joris almost look like the same character.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, Joris may be pretty close, but I also think that Bob's character is pretty close in that aspect.
I mean, that's interesting because, you know, the character designer created Vash the Stampede. So I wonder if he like put that in as like a little nod or a wink.
That's one of the things that I actually really like in this anime is that when you do have the time skip, there is that divide of what people look like. Yeah. Now, some of them are better than others. Like in that, like obviously Brandon like doesn't seem like he changed too much with the gray hair, and he seems like he may have gotten bigger.
I think he got taller.
But you know, like Harry looks like it's him aged like, you know, forever.
Yeah.
But then you have characters like Bob, where I think he's actually older than Harry. But all he did was get fat.
Yeah.
You know, and then different characters like hairstyles came and different things. And then the, you know, the guy that gave him the picture, I think they call him Lee.
Maybe. I don't remember what his name is.
His first name is Balladbird. He's the only character, I think they're alluding to this, that is Asian based.
Oh, okay.
And that's why his last name's Lee. And he's the only character that between the past and the present doesn't look like he's aged at all. And I think it's a play on him because he's Asian.
Because he doesn't crack?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He only cracks that smile.
Oh. Yeah, there was the one guy. There was the one guy in episode 1. I think he was driving the car.
Yeah.
He looked a lot like Wolfwood, kind of.
The guy that looks like he's got all the cracks on his face?
I don't remember. He had like glasses on, and he had like a big long trench coat. I think it was. He was driving a car. He shows up at the beginning, and he's like, "Oh, you know, hurry up! I gotta go find these guys or something like that." I don't remember. Find Brandon or something.
Is it Randy?
No, it's not Randy. Which we'll talk about Randy. in this episode.
Yeah, Randy's scary as fuck.
We'll talk about Randy.
Did I make you Randy?
But yeah, you want to start us off in this episode?
Yeah, so we, like you said, we kind of start back at the end of the last episode.
Which they're in the
And
sewer.
yeah, so all the guys are in the sewer, and they're trying to basically figure out like what's going on. Which we have this whole part where Harry went off, and they thought he was going to get food, and he ended up getting attacked. Right?
So what happens is he's like kind of laying low, and I think he was trying to get food, but I think they called him like scumbag Scott or something like that. Or Scott
I
the
must,
Snitch. I think it was Scott the Snitch. I think it
oh, I was like,
was.
I must have missed that. Scott the Snitch.
Yeah, Scott the Snitch.
Love it.
And he's like, "Hey, it's dangerous out there." And he tells Harry to come in, and Harry kind of like gets him into a corner. He's like, "What the hell did you do?" And he's like,
Okay, you're talking about the guy in the yellow. Okay.
yeah,
I was like, I don't know what his
like
name is,
they call
but
they
he's
call they call him Scott the Snitch. That's his name.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I never really thought about it. I just always know him as the guy that fucked over Kenny. So I'm
yeah.
like, where is the Scott guy coming from?
Yeah, because Scott's the one who gave him the info on
Yeah,
the jewel that he stole in the first episode, but they call him Scott the Snitch, and
yeah,
he kind of has Scott backed up in a corner, and Scott's like, "Oh, it is what it is," and these other guys show up and like they just beat the shit out of Harry, and Harry shows back up and he's like beaten and battered and has no food and whatnot.
yeah.
And go ahead.
Um, I was gonna say something on Scott the Snitch again. I forgot.
Okay.
I lost it right there.
Okay. Well, what happens after that? Yeah.
Jesus. Then they kind of start trying to figure out what their next plan is because they know they can't really go anywhere, and because of all this stuff with Jolis, they're kind of like, okay, well, what else can we do? Like, obviously, somebody is out looking for us,
Mm-hmm.
and this is before they know that it's Mad Dog, and so they're like, nah, what's his name, Deed,
Deed. Yeah.
and they're like, basically, like Deed doesn't have the balls to do that,
Yeah.
And talking about him, which I do like how we get a little more of that because I think it relates back to episode 2 where you realize that they've had almost like this, I'm going to quotation marks, so I'm going to have to say it,
Mm-hmm.
but they basically have had this gang war,
Yeah.
and it's basically like repeatedly, like, Deed and them, and they just fight, and then whatever happens, and then they fight, and all that other stuff.
And it's escalated to a point where it's like
And
no return.
and that just tells you, like, for Deed, like, even though they fight, like, Deed is basically a coward. He's never going to push the line, and especially because he had a toy gun. But I don't feel like they would honestly push the line either until after the Jolis incident,
Yeah.
because like Kenny's got a gun, but it's only a gun. It's only the gun, no bullets,
Well,
and
we find out later what the gun is.
what his gun is.
Yeah, it's a toy gun.
His gun's a toy too.
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, what did I miss? There's 2 toy guns?
Yeah, it's a toy gun.
Shit. See, look, so everybody's got toy guns around this. Pull out your Nerf gun, Mac.
All right, I'm going to use my super soaker.
So they start planning out, like, who could this be?
Yeah.
They start thinking about it. Of course, like, they also have to figure out the thing, which they hadn't buried Jolis yet, right? I don't think that they
I think
did.
they do at the end of this episode.
Okay. Because I know that they have
It was either in the end of this episode or the beginning of the next episode.
Then it's got to be the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Just like knowing how the order of events happens.
Yeah.
And we had a little flashback where this is probably the only time we see anything that looks like it could be pertained as blood.
Mm-hmm.
in the flashback, which I thought was hilarious because they look like ink blots because it's like a black and white picture.
Yeah.
And talking about like more of like who else could it be, and in this the part where somebody brings up that Mad Dog is back.
Yeah, so Scott the Snitch brings up to Harry that Mad Dog is back. And Mad Dog is looking for y'all.
Yeah,
And he was the one who basically like killed Jolis.
Yeah, the dick.
And then we go into where Mad Dog and Deed are together, and Deed's kind of like big and cocky guy now after everything that happened, and Mad Dog's basically like, look, okay, I had to like reclaim our family honor, but you're too chicken shit to go do anything anyways.
Yeah,
And then, like, he hands him a gun, and
right.
then
Still
yeah,
chicken shit.
he hands him the gun, and then when Mad Dog goes to leave, is when the mafia shows up to, I guess, collect him to like do an errand.
Yeah.
Which I had a question.
Okay.
So I was just really confused. Is the mafia just Millennium, or is Millennium? Because I wasn't for sure if Mad Dog worked for Millennium. Or he worked for like a different family or something.
So remember when we were talking about this in the original lineup where we had the guy in the green suit, which I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
And both of them were kind of like these subpar gangs underneath that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy is also like a subpar thing under Millennium.
Okay.
So while you have all these different things, honestly, they're all under the same fucking umbrella.
Okay.
Now, to me, that would also put into play the fact of, hey, really, like, why is anybody fighting?
Yeah.
If you're supposed to all be under the same umbrella, but who knows? Maybe it's just a whole ruse to keep everybody on their toes.
Maybe.
Because I also know, like, things with Big Daddy aren't exactly like he controls all that. Usually it's like a little bit of a command, like, hey, you guys go do this or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it kind of rains down from the top. And obviously it's like playing the game of telephone where that gets misconstrued here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I mean, it just doesn't.
But yeah, I was really confused because I wasn't sure if there was like multiple ones. You know how you have like the Chinese mafia, the Japanese, the Yakuza, the Italian mafia.
In this, I really don't think there's that big of a disclaimer for any of that stuff for us to know how different any of that is.
Because later on, people will be like, "Oh, it's the organization or it's the mafiosa," and I was like, "Well, is the organization different from the mafiosa? Like, what's going on here?"
Yeah, see, I can't tell you that. I just know that part of the little gangs and stuff, like there's more of them, and I think there's some that aren't tied into the mafia, but there are some that are.
Yeah.
And while they may not be like directly tied into it, where it's something that we would see as like a higher pecking order, there's still that underlying maybe like invisible pecking order just because the mafia is at the top.
Yeah.
So, and of course, like one of the next parts we have going up is where Brandon goes to talk to Maria's uncle.
Yeah, Uncle Jester.
Yeah, which we find out isn't really her uncle.
No, it's not.
He basically like adopted her because he found this dead lady on the street.
I think he killed her mom on accident. In a shootout, I think it was.
I think that's right. And then he felt responsibility to do it, and he actually left.
Yeah.
But him and Big Daddy were really good friends.
Yes.
And so, like, now we still have that tie in the story for the mafia to be involved. But Brandon goes to talk to him basically about what's going on.
Whoa.
What?
He talks to Brandon. Brandon doesn't say anything.
Well, Brandon goes to talk to him, okay? And then that happens.
Brandon doesn't say shit.
Right.
I think he says more in the next episode than he has in the last 3 episodes.
So I really wonder if they had somebody picked out for Brandon and they lost the voice actor.
I don't know, because I mean he does like the monologue at the beginning and end of each episode. You know?
I mean, they might have done the beginning and end at the end.
I don't think that's the case, to be honest.
I don't know.
Maybe he's just a strong, stoic, silent type who does talk.
I don't know. Or maybe they put it out in like segments. So like we had like the first 3 that got put out and he didn't talk and they were like, okay, we're getting bad reviews because our character's not talking.
Yeah.
I can see shit like that happening.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so Brandon goes to talk to Uncle Jester, and
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Jester kind of gives him the rundown, like basically, here's some money. You can leave town, but I need you to promise never to come back for Maria. Not to see her.
He's like, "Do you love her?"
Yeah, yeah. Are you sweet on her? Which I feel like is that old man cop out because he's like, yeah, that if you love her, you should leave. Like,
Yeah.
like what the fuck, Uncle Jester? You don't want us to be together.
Yeah.
Um, so all that happens, and he tells him to leave and to go from there. And of course, Brandon doesn't really say anything, but we do get the backstory of the stuff with like Maria
Mm-hmm.
here and there. And
I just have to say,
yeah,
I don't like Maria as a character.
I don't like her until we get past this kind of little hurdle.
At the moment, I don't really care for her.
When we get into episode 4, I feel like she becomes more prevalent, but for a different reason. We'll get into that in episode 4.
Yeah.
Because there's baggage there I got to unload with you.
Yeah, okay.
Because it'll tie into the future. But anyway, Uncle Jester basically like says all that stuff.
And he gives him a gun. That's not a toy.
He's gonna give him a gun.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this instance, we kind of see that moment where they're mimicking, where Mad Dog gave Deed one, and now Jester is giving Brandon one.
Yeah.
And right as that happens, the car pulls up. Which is this where Bear comes in first, or is this Mad Dog?
This is Mad Dog, and then Bear comes in after what happens with Mad Dog.
Okay. And then all this crazy shit happens. Like the other guys come looking for Brandon, and shit's going down. Mad Dog gets to the car, and he's still like, "We need to get our family's honor back," and whatever. So he ends up killing the guys.
Yeah, he kills Kenny and Nathan.
Yeah.
Which Kenny, this is where I was telling you so Nathan, like, they show up and like Harry kind of like gets in the way of like Deed, I believe, or something. And like they kind of scare Deed off, or they shoot Deed, I believe.
Yeah.
One of them shoots Deed. I think Jester shoots Deed. And I can't remember if he like lives or dies. I think he lives.
Yeah.
And then in an alleyway, Mad Dog comes out and shoots Jester and kills Jester.
Yeah.
And then we see the other guys. This is when Harry shows up and he kind of starts talking to Mad Dog, and they're kind of a little bit reminiscing unceremoniously, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so the other two, Kenny and Nathan's talking to Kenny, and he's like, "Hey, give me your gun." Like Mad Dog's like distracted or whatever. He's like, "I'm gonna go." He tries to go to kill Mad Dog, but Kenny never tells them he has a toy gun.
Yeah.
And that leads to Nathan dying, and then Kenny dying.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. I mean, I get it. They're friends or whatever, but I feel like they should just. I feel like them dying is okay.
Yeah, I mean, they were, I feel like, kind of those pivotal characters anyway for that.
They're just fodder.
Yeah, well, I think they were put in place because, I mean, if you go off of, like, the context of all the stuff, I feel like they were put in place to be like, yeah, these guys grew up, so we had that sentimental thing
Yeah.
tied to Harry and Brandon,
Hmm.
and they didn't have to put backstory into it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we already had the established backstory of that stuff. But then as we moved forward from there, then they knew they were going to kill him off to kind of fuel the rest of the story to go
Hmm.
forward.
Yeah.
So
No, I
yeah,
agree with that.
no, I completely feel like they've done that the
They
whole time.
they were they were like a plot device. They were fridged, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
If you get that reference, to move the plot along, to like
yeah.
get them to go after revenge and stuff,
They were the
which
core moment, like from
which
Spider-Man.
then Bear shows up, which I have to say Bear is probably my favorite character in this at the moment, because
Yeah,
he's just cool. And he basically he has a gunfight with Mad Dog and kills Mad Dog.
I
As
don't
far
even
as
feel like he had a gun because he told Harry and Brandon like, take this gun and get your revenge or whatever.
yeah, but Mad Dog goes to try and grab it, and that's when he has a little gunfight with Mad Dog, and
Well,
then
didn't he shoot him once and then like it
yeah,
kind of crippled him where one of them could shoot him?
yeah, and then they started fighting with like having a shootout.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so then all that crap happens. Obviously, Mad Dog's dead. Plot
sad to say.
device. Plot
Oh, we
device.
totally forgot that Mad Dog went and kidnapped the professor guy.
Oh yeah, we did glaze over that. Well, so recap. 30 second. 30-second recap. So the doctor guy that we've seen in the first episode for everything with Brandon and the one that made that whatever Brandon's zombie body thing is.
He made Gungrave.
Yeah. Basically, like he was doing that, and most of the other scientists died, which I think were his assistants. We don't
Yeah, they
really
all
get.
got. Yeah, Mad Dog killed them all.
We didn't get an example on that, but he got taken, and obviously he got taken for the plot device of what's going to happen in the future. For we're going to call it the Graves Project.
The Graves Project. Okay.
Yeah, the Graves Project. And basically got that because of him and his brother working for the mafia to have this guy's research for the future.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and that's your view into the past with Jen Graves on how the Doctor guy came to be.
Fast forward.
Right. But we have all that, and then we have, I feel like, which you'll have to kind of like fill in some plot holes because I don't remember all the words. But we have where like all that stuff gets done, and then we have where everybody kind of like splits up, like Bear and the other two guys, and Harry just ends up at Deed's like headquarter area.
Was he there?
Yeah,
I don't remember that part.
Harry shows up there and then pulls the gun on him, and he says something like, with the whole thing with Mad Dog and the loss of his friends, like he's learned like a pivotal role in life or something.
Uh-huh.
Now, don't quote me word for word on it because I just got the gist or remember the gist. But where he tells him basically like it almost seems like the two wolves thing inside you.
Yeah.
And he tells him basically you have two ways in life. You can either be a good guy and let like the mouse or whatever come back, like something that could repeatedly like get at you without doing like that much harm, or you could just destroy it. And that's where he has the whole thing where he basically tells that and he puts the gun up to Deed's forehead while he's telling him that line, and we get like a pan out where we don't see him anymore and we hear the gunshot.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure he kills him.
So that might have been when I dozed off.
Could be.
I don't remember.
But yeah, I mean we have this pivotal moment in this because obviously and without spoilers and the thing, just going off of what we know in the first episodes, is the fact of where Harry has now set himself up for this moment, that friendship is kind of out the window because he's had friends that died, and to do something for the betterment of himself, that we can kind of allude to
Which,
something in that sense happened between him and Brandon, where he originally killed Brandon the first time.
yeah,
So
to get more power, because we'll see in this next episode when he tries to join Millennium,
yeah,
he kind of just leaves Brandon almost.
yeah. He's
And
like, fuck that guy.
yeah,
But and I honestly feel like too that is something like alluding to something,
yeah.
and I feel like in that sense it's the silent part
You,
with Brandon.
you could say he's starting his villain journey,
It's true. Uh, his anti-hero journey.
his anti-hero journey.
But I feel like too that could also be like symbolage of why Brandon is silent, is because yes, we do see Harry in the spotlight, and Brandon is always more of the muscle,
Yeah,
but that also shows how much, like, when you run your mouth of things and control the situation, that you kind of get like a sense of greed about you.
yeah, I can see that.
So
I mean, I wouldn't say that Harry's not greedy or doesn't want to better himself for the benefit of others.
yeah, yeah.
It's-
Well, and I just think after Nathan and Kenny died, after Jolis, that was really the whole thing that he had. When he had those three characters, even more so than Brandon, even though Brandon's his homeboy, I feel like those three were the ones, probably because they talk. Those three were the ones that kind of kept him in that state of osmosis where, like, the good vibes radiated off him. Now,
yeah,
did he still do fucked up shit like sleep with other guys' women and
yeah.
take
He
the women?
used women for their money.
He did that, but I think it all came back to like everything, taking care of his friends and everything. And now that three of the four have basically died off, the ones that talked, um, all that is gone. And I think that also creates this pivotal moment where we'll see more of it as we go in the future, of there is this competition between him and Brandon.
Hmm.
While we view Harry as more of the leader, he doesn't view that it's also an internal struggle between him and Brandon of who the leader is, because obviously Harry's not the physically one. He's not the one that just automatically puts himself into danger like Brandon is.
He's the brain.
He's the brain, and he's the one that tries to figure it out before he gets into it. And that doesn't always make him look like he is like the hero of the day. It makes
Yeah,
Brandon look that way, which we have seen, and Brandon gets praised for it while Harry doesn't. Um, and I think that also alludes to that first episode where they go for the fight with Deed,
yeah,
and Harry storms out. Well, he can act that way, because I also think it's a Loki moment where if you know you're going to win, obviously you can act like a tough guy.
yeah,
So, but we have that, and then we have this really sad part after all this kind of is muddled out, where uh, Harry and Brandon can't even afford gravestones or anything,
yeah. They have rocks.
and they bury the guys under dirt and then put rocks on top of them as a headstone, um, and everything. Which, from the first episode, was where Brandon. Yeah, was it the first episode?
Yeah, it was the
Or the
first
second?
episode when he goes back to the gravestones.
Yeah, and where he walked by and he actually looked at the graves.
Yeah,
Which, do you remember? Because I knew it happened, but I didn't put two and two to watch for it. In the first episode, was the hat still sitting on Kenny's grave?
oh, I don't remember.
Because I swear there was something sitting on his grave, but I couldn't remember what it was.
I would have to go back and watch that episode.
And when they put the hat on it this time, I was like, was that always there? So that's been there for like 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it threw me off.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. I really don't.
Yeah. I swear to God, I saw it, and I was like, no, I couldn't have
I
fucking
think
seen
it's
that.
possible it could have been there. Or maybe like in the city they don't touch the gravestones. You know?
Yeah, until Brandon picked it up and threw it at one of the white thingies.
Yes, yes.
Woof.
I think he just picked up a rock.
Yeah, he did. Um, but yeah, so I mean, we got that. We got this whole touching moment of kind of them talking about it. Of course, it's Harry monologuing it to us, acting like he's talking to Brandon, and it just goes from there. Of
Yeah,
course, don't we have a little scene here where the mafia drives past again too,
maybe.
or is that not till the next one?
I think it's still the next one.
Okay, because
When they're at the cemetery again.
that's another thing that I have to say that I do like this is that they do bridge the episodes where they connect.
Yeah, they do. And one thing I have to say, and it's I saw it more in the next episode,
Yeah,
is I don't remember if this is like an early like DigiPaint series, like animated series.
yeah,
So like DigiPaint was like a certain way they would like digitally paint the cells and like the all the stuff.
yeah.
Like digitally, and it always had a weird effect on early digipaint episodes. Like they didn't age really well, and there are points in the second episode that we watched on this for episode 4
Yeah.
where things do not look up to like the Madhouse quality that I know.
You're saying that we need a remake, Madhouse.
I don't know, but like there were parts where like some of the characters were looking a little derpy from a side view.
Hey, buddy, a lot of characters look derpy from all views.
Just saying.
I mean, if we go back to when we first saw Jolis looked like he had like such a fucking long face, like somebody just grabbed his chin and his forehead and like pulled.
Yeah.
It just kind of stretched him out like Beetlejuice, you know? Um, is this anime perfect
No,
in the
it's
art
not.
department? No, it's not. Is the writing the best? No, it's not.
Eh,
Is it better than most average day anime? Yes, it fucking is.
I have to say, so like, I enjoyed the episode 3 more than episode 4.
Yeah.
A lot of episode 4 I thought was really boring, and it
Yeah.
mostly centered around Maria. Because we'll get into it. We'll get into it. We go into the aftermath of Jester being buried. Maria
But
had
well, can I add one thing to you on
okay,
that?
yeah,
So there is this part, and there's another part that I recall, and I think it's all the past stuff to get us up to Back to the Future.
yeah.
Right, Back to the Future. Um,
I remember like when they actually get into the mafia, it gets pretty good.
yeah, so there's a couple of these ones where like old school, and this is another thing that I feel like is different with old school versus like new school
Yeah,
anime. You have those low moments where this is more like an episode for us to have for 4 to give us knowledge,
yeah.
while 3 was a pivotal moment.
We use pivotable in quotations.
Yeah, a pivotal moment for
Brandon and Harry.
well, for like the timing of the show. Like the only other thing I can tell you like that is like whenever you and I have talked about manga, like with
Yeah,
Ultimate Muscle, and how like some of them are more expensive and it's because of a certain appearance, or like
yeah,
comics in general. You know, you get a Hulk one and Wolverine appears for the first time, it's more expensive than
yeah.
other
180,
things.
181.
Yeah. So things like that. I feel like this, because of how old it is pivotally done like that as well. Like it's set where you have a 181, and then you move on, and you kind of have everything else again until you get your next, big one that would be like another 181 or something with like a different superhero.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're dealing with multiple first appearances, I guess.
Well, we're dealing with the fallout of Jester.
Yeah, we're dealing with the fallout a gesture, and the guys are still at their graves. And
Mhm.
they see that Maria is with the mafia, and what are they going to do from there?
Yeah, which Maria doesn't know what she's going to do
Yeah.
because she doesn't know if she's going to get a job. Like, I wonder what kind of job she would get in this city. Just saying. You know,
Oh yeah,
my,
that'd actually be nice to know, because the only other female character we've really seen is almost a mafia boss herself.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Like, would she get like a 9 to 5 job, or would she end up in like, I don't know, prostitution?
yeah, and we don't ever see anything like that. Like
Yeah,
that, I think that would be another cool twist to this if they updated it and everything. Probably not remastered, but if they updated the whole thing and then kind of rewrote the story um, a little bit and added more aspects to it, I think it would make it a lot better. And that could be an option, because
did you
I feel like this is a story that's also could be more gritty. They just choose not to.
did you ever watch Speed Grapher?
Yeah.
Do you remember in the when the main bad guy finds his sister that he's looking for, and she's like what was it, like a, I think it was like a heroin addict or something, and she was like a prostitute at like a
Maybe.
heroin den. That's what I was thinking she was gonna go do. Like Maria was like, was she gonna
Oh,
go out?
Jesus. I have no idea. Maybe we should cover Speed Grapher.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, maybe.
yeah, because I like Speed Grapher. Um, um, so we have all that. They bury Uncle Jester. We're still standing at the graves with the guys, remembering, reminiscing, whatever. And then we have this whole part where I feel like he gives a different name, because I don't think he told her he was Big Daddy yet.
No, he gives a different name, but I don't remember what it is.
And that's the other crappy thing. On all the sources you look, they never say what his extra name is.
Yeah.
He's always just Big
What's it?
Daddy.
I want to say, I don't want to say it was like Zenigata, but I don't remember what the fuck his name was.
Maybe. I mean, it could be something off the wall like that. Which is funny to me why Maria, with Uncle Jester, why Maria is the only one, her and her daughter are the only two that have Japanese sounding names.
Really?
Yeah. Because, I mean, think about the last names. Like, just say them back to yourself.
I don't remember what her last name is.
Her last name is like Asagi or something.
Uh, so like Mika Usagi,
Yeah, Mika Usagi, Maria Asagi. But think about it, the rest of them:
Brandon Heat.
Brandon Heat, Harry McDowell,
Yeah.
Bear Walken.
Well, I don't think they're in Japan.
None of them have. I know, but that's what's confusing, is why is she the only one like that? The only other person that their name, it kind of makes sense with their origin, is Lee, and it's just his last name, because who the fuck is going to name their kid Ballad Bird? I mean, shit. Like I told you earlier, some of the names in this I love because they're so fucking off the wall. But the good thing about it is, at least it makes you remember those characters.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And whether they use their first name, like the guy sitting at the table, Bear Walking. Oh my god, it's Bear Walking. The
Yeah.
fuck? Ballad Bird Lee. They just call him Lee. They just call Bear. Bob Max Pound. They just call him Bob. You get these where it's this, but then they have such outrageous parts of their name. You're like, I can't forget that.
Yeah.
Like Max Pound and everything. Like it sounds like it's two parts.
Yeah.
So, and I can't remember the other guy that was at the table. There was the fourth guy that was at the table when we were in the past, but or in the future.
Yeah.
We'll find that out eventually, though. But yeah, no, I don't understand why she basically is one of the only characters with a Japanese name.
I don't understand
Because, I mean, would the last name have come from Jester?
Maybe.
I mean, they don't say that's what his name is. It's just Jester.
Jester could have been like a nickname.
Could he be Jester Asagi?
Maybe.
So who knows? But we have, and this is probably one of the scenes. If it's your first time, you won't. I don't feel like you'll really get it. You and I have already kind of talked about it a little bit, not in depth, but we had to touch on it when you had that whole kind of
Yeah, he's Big Daddy
snafu
number one.
of who Mika's dad was.
Yeah, and I'm still confused.
Yeah, so Big
Because this
Daddy,
guy, Big Daddy's old as fuck.
yeah.
He's old.
So this is one of the only things, just because like you know a little bit about that, but watching it originally, if you didn't know that that was his daughter and everything,
I'm
you wouldn't know this part until we got way farther in the future,
gonna
right?
theorize and say I think it's Brandon's kid.
It's not.
Okay.
We already know. Remember, we had to look at it.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot.
That it was Big Daddy's daughter.
But like, how do they get to? Maybe we'll find out later. Never mind.
But this is one of the biggest parts, and I didn't realize it at the time. This is, I feel like, classical case grooming.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like you said, you kind of see that little angle part like you were talking about with him, and he doesn't look as old. And then you get like a straight on shot of his face, and you're like, holy shit, that's somebody's granddad.
Yeah.
So,
that's where I was like, he's probably grooming her. And I was like, oh, I hope that's not the case. I was like, I wonder if maybe like she had like a tryst with Brandon, and Mika's actually Brandon's daughter.
And I don't think originally it was Big Daddy's plan to fall in love with Mika the way that he did. Because what he originally wanted to do, because him and Jester were friends before, is just take care of her.
Best friends.
Yeah, I think he just wanted to take care of her. And between her and him basically having like all these old memories of Jester and all this stuff and connecting and everything, I think it just happened.
Yeah.
That given with the fact of...
Do we know how old Mika is at this point?
No. I mean, she's got to be in her teens.
Maybe.
Because of old logic. I mean, I would like to throw that they were in their 20s, but honestly, I feel like I would be lying in that, because if we really think about stuff with Kenny, I would like to say Kenny, if everybody's bumped up, I would like to say that Kenny is probably 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, and that everybody else is in their 20s.
Yeah.
At least early 20s. But I can't say that. I really think off of logic, especially as much as of anime and manga that you and I have read, I would really say that all these people, except for Big Daddy and basically all the adults, I would say that all of them are probably in their teens. And that would basically mean that Kenny is probably about 12.
You think so?
Probably about 12 or 13, yeah.
So I just looked it up.
Yeah.
And it says at the beginning of the series, Maria is like 18 to 20. Okay. Early mid-20s, past first time skip. Late 20s, early 30s, circa Brandon's death. And then I'm guessing late 30s, 40s, when she dies.
Yeah, which we'll see a little bit. She gets that classic little like mouth wrinkle.
Yeah,
we get that from her. So, as she ages, but where were we?
We're talking about the relationship between Maria and Big Daddy.
Oh yeah, and him being a groomer.
Yeah.
Not one of my favorite parts in this.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like very subtle, like you said, like low key he wanted to help her first.
Yeah.
And then possibly, like you said, because like I don't know. The math just doesn't add up. I'm just gonna
Well,
say.
and I can only say this, and you're gonna probably crack a joke about it. The only thing I can really put my finger on is like when you see any of those jokes about how Disney made us hate stepmoms, but that Pornhub made us love stepmoms. And that is probably the only thing that I can really touch on in this, is
Uh-huh.
that I kind of feel like he's a stepdad to her, and so
Uh,
that left an opportunity for it to develop into something like that. Yeah, that's about as
hey,
far as I can
hey,
reach
come
on
on,
that.
stepdad.
I'm trapped under the sofa, stepdad.
I'm trapped under the sofa. Help me.
Oh my god. Now you're making me think of, like, what if it was she tried to get Brandon to do it, like, Brandon, I'm trapped under the sofa, and Big Daddy walked in there. Or like, what if there was Brandon in that one thing was like, you can call me Big Daddy, and so like she had a pet name for him that was Big Daddy, and, and she did that whole thing of, oh, I'm tripped, Big Daddy, and he comes in there and it's like, wrong Big Daddy?
Yeah.
Question, and it just happened. Who the fuck
Yeah.
knows? I don't
But I
know.
mean, moving along. Uh, they end up going to visit Jester's grave, which we also find out that Brandon and Harry, I don't know why I had a brain fart, Harry, are going to leave town.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to leave town. They don't know where they're going, but they're leaving town. They go to stop by the graves of their friends, and they see Maria with like some people. As this is happening, they get attacked by the guys that they sort of used to work for.
Yeah.
Because they turned them down when they were going to leave, because they offered them like a spot, and they're like, nah, we don't want to take it.
Yeah.
And so they kind of got upset about that, because Brandon and Harry beat them up, and they end up having a shootout in the graveyard. Which, this is where I feel like a lot of the animation starts to go wonky a little bit.
Oh yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, I understand that, because I felt like the detailing went down, because you knew, like, the one guy was sliding on the grass and
Yeah.
stuff, and you knew it was going to be at a distance, so it happened that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But
Um,
we also meet my second favorite character, Randy, who is I guess the right hand man to Big Daddy. Randy talks like this. Hey, Big Daddy, we should
yeah.
really get going.
Hey, I found that other guy's name. It's Bunji Kugashira.
Okay.
But we won't touch on that again till the
Yeah.
future.
Randy is so monotone. It
Yeah.
has no fluctuation really in his voice. It just comes off so weird in the English dub. And it's like,
Supposed to.
I mean, it made me laugh. Okay, like it made
Yeah.
me laugh a lot because I thought it was funny. But yeah, they end up getting saved by Randy and the other mafia members, and that basically Harry asks Randy like, "Hey, how can I join Millennium?" He's like, "We can take out the most dangerous man I know in the city. We'll kill him." And they're like, "No, you don't need to kill him. We're going to squeeze him for everything that he's worth.
Yeah.
We're going to use him." And they're like, "You can do this job. You're in Millennium." At this point, Harry kind of sort of drops Brandon.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Brandon, I'm going to go do this." But Brandon follows along anyways. And so they go get all this money from this guy. They steal it basically. And the car pulls up. They're like, "Okay, am I?" Harry says, "Okay, am I in?" And Randy's like, yeah, if you're serious, get in the car. And he's like, okay, Brandon, I'll see you later. And he gets in the car. He just basically bails on his friend.
Yeah.
He's like,
And then he
okay,
gets in the car
I
too.
got something better. Okay.
Yeah. And then he gets in the car too.
And he gets in the car too. And he's like, Brandon, I knew you'd come. Or
Right.
something like that. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of
Yeah.
corny.
Oh, yeah.
It was
So let me throw out a question to you.
okay.
Do you think, though, the part at the cemetery that we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that originally, whenever Harry and Brandon got involved, that Big Daddy was just going to let them handle it themselves? Because, he kind of does like a little wave where he's telling his guys to move on.
Yeah, I think he really was going to let them handle it themselves. I do think that. But once Maria noticed them,
Then that's when he was like, oh, I got to get involved.
and yeah, I got to get involved and stuff like that. Like once she's like, Brandon's my friend, Big
Yeah.
Daddy stepped in. He's like, okay, we have to help these stupid people.
Yeah, we have
For Maria.
For my dearest Maria.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, I thought these episodes were fine.
Yeah.
I liked episode 3 more than episode 4. I mean, maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset to watch episode 4, or I also feel like I want the story to move on from this past section.
Yeah.
And I really want to get into the mafia part.
Yeah, I think that this is just that, like I said, it's that low part, where we have all that stuff done and there's just not really anything to push it forward as of right now. With part of that stuff. I mean, the closest thing I can kind of compare this to, honestly, that comes to mind at the moment is like the whole like little section we get in the Genkai training arc of Yu Hakusho.
Oh yeah.
Like they're doing that and it's like, oh, you got to put your finger on this little spike and make sure your power so it doesn't go through your finger. And he's like, focusing, and that's just a little like montage of shit we get that's not really important. Like we know it's going to happen anyway, it's irrelevant, but like they put that in there to give us more, I guess, like filler stuff for an episode. That's kind of what I felt like this episode was to get us from point A to point B of how they join the mafia and how they basically have everything set up for that.
Yeah,
of course,
I can see that,
Of course, giving Maria a little more character development.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I really didn't like all this stuff with Maria. Like, I just wanted to see where Brandon and Harry were going to go.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's like, I don't care about Maria.
Yeah.
I just find her to be bland and boring at this moment. And I don't understand why exactly Brandon has such a tie to her.
Because they're basically like high school sweethearts.
I mean, I get it, but like, even Brandon's kind of dull too at this point.
Yeah. Well, I can only say that with everything else. That being because Maria is his driving force. That's really why she has to be there.
He basically goes with Millennium because of Maria.
Yeah. And of course, we couldn't have Mika without a Maria.
True.
So
but Mika's only been in the first episode. So far, yes.
Gosh, we're only in flashbacks, Mike.
I know. Eat your tater tots, Tina.
Come get the meatloaf.
Well, yeah. I mean, all in all, these episodes are fine. I like the first one more. It was for quality of animation, it slipped in episode 4.
Yeah,
for me, and I noticed it very much.
So, if right now, would you say that episode 3 is like your top of the 4?
Yeah, I would.
What would your second one be?
Second one be
Yeah.
maybe episode 2, but that's not saying a lot. Like
Yeah.
I like the funny moments. Like I like when Harry tried to basically use his body to pick up the girl and stuff. I loved when, the toy gun came into play and how they all reacted to it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just, it's hard. It's very hard to get connected to Brandon when Brandon himself is
Doesn't talk.
doesn't talk. He's very introspective and like, doesn't, he shakes his head and nods a lot.
Yeah. I can't really tell you a lot on that.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like, and again, don't quote me on this part. I kind of feel like we should go back and pick out either like the first, which probably not the first, probably the second episode, and pick that one out and see if and watch it subbed and
Mm-hmm.
see if he actually talks more with the Japanese voice actor versus the English.
Well, I put the subtitles on when watching this,
Yeah.
and Brandon said the exact same things.
Oh, you watch both of them?
I watched the English dub, but I had the Japanese subtitles on
Oh,
while watching it.
yeah.
And Brandon says the exact same things in both, basically. Like he doesn't get any like extra stuff,
Yeah.
unless you have like the monologues he does
Yeah.
at the beginning and end.
Okay.
But I am as much as I kind of like am like mid or like wavy on this show at the moment. I am interested to see where the story goes.
Yeah.
So it still has that driving force. Like I want to see like how exactly did Brandon die? Why did he have to die? Was there some kind of weird fucked up love triangle? I don't know. You know, like I want to see. I want him to have more character. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I really want more character from Brandon. I get it that he's like the central character and everybody kind of works around him, but I feel like everybody else is a bigger character than our title character of Gungrave.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like Harry's a bigger It should be Harry as the main character at this moment
Yeah.
because he has way more screen time than fucking Brandon. I feel like it seems.
I don't think he has more screen time. I think he has more lines, obviously,
Yeah,
though.
that's what I meant.
Because, I mean, we did have that whole thing where Brandon was talking to Uncle Jester and,
Well, yeah, talking.
talking. He went to go see him, things like that. I feel like we have more moments of that when Harry's not around.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, I got to be honest. I was really surprised we got it almost an hour out of this episode because I was like, "What the fuck am I going to talk about?" Like,
I'm not
no,
surprised.
like nothing really happened in the episodes almost.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not surprised. I really thought when it's usually we both at some point, which I think it's hilarious because you and I just have this yin yang feng shui thing like down for however the fuck the universe made it.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But one of us is always like, oh, I need help on this episode. Another one's like, I need help on this episode, and it's always the opposite episode. We never need help on the same episode. And it
Yeah.
always makes me fucking laugh.
I mean,
Yeah, I need help on the last episode. Well, I need help on the first episode. Okay.
I fell asleep and I'm trying. I'm like fighting to stay awake at this moment because I'm tired.
Yeah.
But like I fell asleep watching
Yeah.
these 2 episodes, and I fell asleep rewatching the episodes.
I can see part of that, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's because I'm just tired or exhausted or what, But like
Entirely exhausted.
I was like, come on, Brandon, let's get this going. Like, keep going, move forward. Come on, Brandon.
What's the thing? Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Come
Yeah,
on. I did think it was funny when they were leaving town. One had like a little suitcase, and the other had like a shoulder thrower bag. You know,
yeah,
and
like
I'm like, we've only seen them in one pair of clothing each.
yeah.
Like, how much do they actually have?
It's the same.
I,
They have repeat copies.
I wanted to see them like put the stuff in the bag to see like what they
Well,
actually
you
took.
know what really threw me off is the bags in general. Like Harry has a fucking briefcase.
Yeah. Do you think he like had to go scrounge that briefcase out?
I don't know. But then like we could sit there and assume that it's all clothes. I really wonder if we were really thinking about it, if that had all
Because
their rations and stuff in it too.
yeah, or money.
It could be.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see it being money though.
Uh,
I mean, I more so see Harry taking advantage of Brandon and being like, "Hey, be my pack mule," because he knows he's stronger.
yeah. He's doing those pull-ups in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was the house doing pull downs on with him?
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, we're just unraveling more, and
I would give it a three and a half, 3.5.
have we gotten to a part yet that you haven't already seen yet?
Mm, I don't remember because I don't remember what happens in the next episode. I watched this back in high school, so I can't tell you yes or no.
Okay.
Like I watched this in 2003.
Okay.
I no, I think I was in yeah, I was just going into high school, I believe.
Yeah, I remember watching this on like G.o.r.e or whatever when
Yeah,
they
it was
had.
like on G4 or Fuse, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh, cool, Gungrave." And I was like, "Why isn't he Gungrave?" Cuz
So,
I caught it when we were in the flashbacks.
oh, that's funny. So
Yeah.
let me tell you on that. So I didn't actually know it was a game series for the longest.
Really? Cuz I knew it as a game series.
I only knew it as the anime, and then from that, I found out it was a
Yeah,
game
it's
series.
actually like an original video game series. It has no ties to anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm really surprised it got an anime, to be honest.
I'm really surprised it's gotten as many games as it's
Well,
gotten.
yeah, because like they're all like low budget games.
Yeah,
They're not like high. Well, I mean, the new one looks decent. Like it looks really good, like graphics wise. But I remember when the games came out, and the games kind of got panned.
yeah,
I mean, I know they have their fans. They have somewhat of like a cult following. Obviously, that's why they keep putting games out.
yeah,
But like I remember when the games came out, I remember watching G4 and they're like, oh, Gungrave, like 2 out of 5 or whatever. Like nobody really liked it. And
yeah,
like I remember when Overdose came out and it was like a $20 game.
yeah.
Brand new coming out. I never
See, and that's one thing after, because my game going after it was Overdose, which is the second one.
yeah, that's one to get like the different other
I
characters.
Yeah, I'd never played one, and it was funny though because if you look at the games are lined out that it's actually a story. Like it's not some
Yeah,
shit out of somebody's ass. Like it actually tells you at the beginning, hey, this happened in one. So while I didn't really play one, I knew little bits and pieces of what were in
yeah.
one. And so it was funny, like hearing some of the names that I know, like from the anime, and it being an overdose, being like, oh, I know who that is.
Yeah.
But as a past thingy, the only other thing is, I really wish they would go back into it, kind of as I said, to redo this. But I also wish they would extend it because there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of other cool characters, like the other guy. I want to say his name's Randy, but I think it's Red.
Mm-hmm.
That's in Overdose. he's like a combination between Ryu from Shaman King and Elvis.
No.
I mean, he's got red hair.
Does he have like a guitar?
Yeah, he's got a big ass pompadour, and then
Yeah.
he's got like a full red outfit, but it looks like he's a ghost because you can't see his feet. They like fade out as it goes down, and he
Okay.
has a guitar.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's kind of like Elvis Ryu. So
Maybe they'll get like a Gungrave Renaissance one day,
yeah,
and they'll be like,
maybe
okay, here's
maybe
Gun.
we'll get famous enough like that one company that you were talking about that
The
bought.
Red Star Media Company.
Yeah, that was only around to do one thing to bring over here and have it dubbed and everything. That's it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get it done where it's like, hey, yeah, we just want to redo the whole thing.
We just want a sequel to Gungrave.
We want a sequel. We want to remaster it and everything else, and then we want a couple sequels. Okay, can we do that? Good, thanks. What would we like to pay? Yeah, let's go with like $20. You know, something like that. So
It's funny because like anime nowadays are like, oh god, like so you have to license each episode. So it's like something like $100,000 to $200,000 an episode nowadays.
yeah,
It's like ridiculously fucking expensive. It was expensive back then too, but I mean,
yeah.
you know, I can't imagine like licensing like a long running shonen series. Like how much that would cost to license.
Oh, like One Piece.
Yeah. or
Jesus.
like or like Yu Yu Hakusho. Like what's 112 episodes cost?
Oh,
You know.
Jesus. That's true.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, I had fun podcasting and talking about this with you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had fun watching it, but I mean, it had moments.
Hey, buddy. You know what I heard?
What?
Best sleep of your life.
Best sleep of my life. Yeah.
Yeah. It was more of a like, take 2 of these NyQuils and call me in the morning. And
Yeah.
you're like, no, I don't need those. I'll just turn on Gungrave.
I mean, it's kind of how it is because the music kind of gets to me.
No, I agree. And I feel like the episodes are kind of built that way because at different points you have the high moments or whatever, but I do feel like you could drift off to sleep with most of the episodes.
Yeah, and that's what happens to me. That's
Um,
what happens to me.
yeah. But yeah, no, I still like this series. I think it's great.
Yeah,
But I guess everybody listening, you can find us where we're at.
on
And
Instagram.
yeah, and then you can see us next Tuesday.
Yeah, and stay safe. If you want to reach out to us, you can do so on Spotify or Instagram, and we'll answer you back, and maybe we'll even read your nice little reviews or questions on the podcast. So reach out to us if you like. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, and stay safe.